Alright, welcome back. I guess this is episode 2. I haven't even put up episode 1 yet. I'm gonna do the thing where One Poker 98 came out on November 10th. So I'm gonna release it exactly 10 years later, which is so crazy to me. I don't know, it was just kind of a whim that I had one day, and I edited the video, and I was like, this is okay. Like, this is not cringe, at least. I was worried it would be cringe. I mean, the only cringe thing about it is I'm eventually going to be reacting to myself, my own freaking posts, which, I don't know. I feel like it's still worth doing this just to see stuff that I forgot about, you know, and all that good stuff. And hopefully it's good background noise for some of you guys. Okay, chapter 110. Kaiji scores a stunning victory against Kazuya. Will his luck hold? Oh yeah, this is the part where, I remember I was watching other people's reactions, there was this guy, Kitsa, and of course, Donut reactions for both of them. The moment where Kaiji is like, what if his second card was an ace? They both went, oh yeah, what if? You know, which was really nice to see. I do like the way Tamber is trying to throw in poker terminology himself, too. He's drawing dead with his 3, and it's like, yeah, that is something to say in poker. Okay, Tamber thinks that his reaction of, like, you know, extreme happiness and then, like, was because, like, his first card was an ace and his second card was, like, an 8 or 9. And, I mean, that's what Kaiji thinks, too, at this point. You know, when you know what it actually was, it makes way more sense, you know, the fact that Kazuya had that reaction. But good on Fukumoto to make it, like, that vague already from the beginning, which is probably something that... Yeah, that's probably something that really set up this arc in people's minds as, like, okay, this is actually, like, a very, like, it's going to be unpredictable. There's going to be stuff to do with strategy and reading faces. You know, all that is kind of, like, set up there in that moment. And then, like, the first 3 hands are actually kind of, like, they make you think. You know, they give you that gasp moments that Kitsuta and Donut had. And, you know, it sets it off on the right foot. It sets it off on the right tone. And for people that have been waiting for, like, a simple game like E-Card or Rock, Paper, Scissors, it really shows you that that's what it is. And that's what it's going to be. And it's going to be more of that classic Kaiji you love. You know, I feel like Fukumoto really set that up well. And I feel like I'm going to be praising Fukumoto a lot. I can think of a couple other things to praise him for off the top of my head. But we'll save that for when we get there. But this was, I feel like, a really, really well-written arc that suffered from very, very slow pacing. But, you know, like I said last time, if you're binging it, then that doesn't matter. So, yeah, and Tamber's second paragraph now, of course. You know, I'm taking my time with this, because I guess I only get one first reaction. Why not? Good point, good point. Tamber's making a good point here. Kazuya didn't take his money. I mean, part of that is probably he's too rich. He's like, whatever. What is that? Like, 200 million yen? No, it would be 400 million yen. Puh. I've got billions. I've got trillions, dude. That is like a penny. That is like a penny on the street to me. Like, that's definitely part of it. But, he could have even pulled the, like, the thing. I've seen people do this before, where, like, you leave something in front of them, and they'll, like, pretend that somebody stole it, you know, for a minute. And they'll be like, oh, you left your wallet there? Oh, I didn't see it. Somebody ran off with it. My mom did that to me once. But yeah, it's like, they're trying to teach you, like, not to leave your stuff there. But Kazuya didn't even do that. He just left it there, and he just was sitting there smoking a cigarette, being like, he really wants those 2 idiots back? What is he doing, you know? That's what he was probably thinking. But in terms of him being fair, I mean, I don't know if that really proves anything. It proves that he's not, like, the lowest of the low, who's just, like, out to see people suffer. You know, there's a meaning to what he's doing, I guess, is what it proves. Like, you know, he's not going to take Kaiji's money, because if he did, then Kaiji would have nothing to gamble with, and their gamble wouldn't be meaningful if he just took his money there. He wants that gamble, and he wants to see Kaiji struggle to win. He really wants to see the lengths to which Kaiji will go in order to win. Be that, like, betting his own life, be that betting his friend's life. Like, how far is he willing to go? And will he betray his friends in the end? You know, that's what he really wants to see. Like, that is what Kazuya is drooling about. Like, oh, if Kaiji, like, betrays Chang and Mario, how crazy will that be? You know, he's probably, like, thinking some shit like that. And then this scene of Kaiji going off to recruit Chang and Mario and get them back to play the gamble with him. And he's just like, okay, well, that's probably not going to happen. Kaiji's not going to betray them if he freaking went over to, like, drag them over. They're all just trash. That's why they're so nice. It's the trash of Japan, Philippines, and China. That's why they're all so buddy because they don't know how the world works. These poor people have no idea how the world works. I am getting really into Kazuya's head right now, and it's kind of scaring me. But okay, we'll keep going here. But no, I guess I'm able to put myself in the minds of these characters. I guess that is what makes me, like, a good translator, is I'm able to kind of, like, put myself in their shoes and kind of, like, you know, Kaiji at this point, let me do Kaiji now, just to prove to myself that that's what it is. Well, Kaiji's a little harder because his reason for doing this is, like, I'm so lucky. I'm, like, really, really, really lucky. But I can also probably guess that part of the reason why, you know, he's willing to, you know, go that far on just being lucky is because he wants to freaking prove Kazuya wrong so much. Like, he's just like, Kazuya, your ideals are completely wrong. They are completely, you know, in a sense, naive and pitiful. Because, like, nobody ever, like, loved him enough to show him that true friendship does exist. And he wants to show that to him and have that, you know, and reveal that to him, you know, through the game, which he does wind up doing. I'd say that's part of it too. And also, you know, he's Hyodo's son. Like, that's part of it too. It's not just like, oh, I'm lucky, you know. Part of it also is probably like, this is my chance to get back at the Hyodo family. I swore my revenge on Kazutaka Hyodo. And this is my revenge on their family, and also payback for all the sinister stuff that Kazuya and his dad have done to me and to other people in the past. Like, it's all that woven together. There we go. I gave you both sides there. Paragraph 2 of the day, by the way. I'm just like, you know, I had my doubts if I could get in the mood for this, but apparently I am, all of a sudden. Okay, and the rails, yeah. That is kind of just like something that, you know, once you know. Then what they mean is something else. But the rails themselves are kind of like, they're just there for looks, really, in the end. And it is just kind of, I praised Fukumoto a little bit earlier. I feel like it was kind of, I'm not going to say bad writing. It was a little bit of a missed opportunity to have the characters, like, make up a plausible explanation for why the rails were there, you know, for the reader, essentially. He does it so well with, like, mind games, with, like, everything else, but with the rails, it's like it's right there in the reader's face, and the reader themselves is going to be wondering, what the heck are those rails for? And maybe that's what he wanted. That's possible, but I feel like in the end it probably would have been better if there was, like, some plausible reason why the, you know, machine was going back and forth that wasn't like, oh, when you bet your red life, you know, like, this is what's gonna happen. Plus, it doesn't really make sense that it, like, goes back, like, 3 places and then stays there, you know, and then, like, it stays there until you win a hand, but then if you, I don't know, there's probably some way that it could, like, not match, like, it could not be right at the edge when like, it's needed, when the red life is bet. I feel like I'm rambling a lot today. I'm sorry. Right, which causes confusion here. The number of spaces that it moves back makes no sense in the end, and it's just, like, something that you have to move past and just be like, you know, he could have done it. He could have done, like in increments. He could have, like, Kaiji has 2 lives, so if he loses once, he should move, like, half the way back, right? Because that's half of his lives. Or have Kaiji start, like, very close to the hole and Kazuya start very far from the hole, so his, like, 10 lives worth of money is shown. You know, that would be a lot more visually... I think that would be more visually interesting and more visually consistent as well. Yeah, I don't really know why he did it the way he did, honestly. I can't think of a good reason. Maybe you can. Maybe leave your opinions in the comments, by all means. Like, if anyone watches these, I don't know. A hole! That hole looks like a hole. That is a hole, all right. Tamer's right with the method. It is indeed a hole that you drop down. He doesn't know about everything, but yeah, that's the beginning, and he's right. I see what he's saying. He's saying that we know that he's one space from being at the hole. And it's like, what does that mean? You know, like, once he loses a life at the hole, what happens? Does he lose then and there? I say I'm rambling, but I guess there is just a lot that happened that chapter, so there was a lot to talk about. This game is way too simple for it to be this long and not have any cheating in it. I feel like Fukumoto could have done a version where there wasn't any cheating. I feel like he could have. It's just, it did definitely run out of material near the end, and it's kind of like we needed cheating to be brought into it in order to continue making it interesting. So I'd say, yeah, he was probably on with that. The first Anonymous here. Yeah, and second Anonymous is also spot on, he knows. He or she. So they're talking about the fact that Kazuya, like, smiled really big and then looked really sad, you know. And it's like, why was that? Why was that, you know? Anonymous here thinks it's because he definitely has another ace. Tamber's like, it can't be that. If you got 2 aces, or 2 queens, or 2 kings, you'd be like, wow, that's great! Wow, that's even more great! You know? Why would you look dejected? The only reason why you would be if you were worried about losing to 2s, right? If you were like, oh man, but with 2 aces, if he has a 2, you know, at this point we were still, like, really thinking about that a lot, you know, we were really focusing on that E-card-esque aspect of the game, but, yeah, it's like that's the only way that you would be sad about getting dealt pocket aces. Yeah, these two are really getting into an argument about this. And Anonymous, he has the correct argument. Like, we know from the future. What did I think at this time? Well, that's the thing. I knew, because I, like, read the raws ahead of time. Tamber didn't. Yeah, I think the way that I read the raws, too, was I just kind of, I read them, and I was like, okay, so that's what happens. How am I gonna translate that, you know? It was, you know, not that I, you know, just had no emotion, but I guess, to be honest with you, now that I really think about it, I probably didn't understand Japanese enough at this time to, like, really just, like, skim it and understand it. I'm not sure, though. Maybe I did. I don't remember my first reaction, is why I'm saying this. There's a chance that I read the raws and I kind of could tell what was happening from the pictures, and I read a few of the bubbles, you know, and I was like, okay, so Kaiji's saying this, and, like, I probably, like, read, like, stuff like Hand of Heaven, and I was like, okay, Hand of Heaven, how am I going to translate that, you know? But there's a chance that I didn't really understand it well enough to, like, get the raw reaction myself. And I certainly don't remember anything that I was thinking at this moment. So, I can't really, you know, like, I can look back now and be like, oh yeah, Anonymous was right. Yeah, he had the right argument the whole time. But I don't know what I thought. I don't know if I thought anything. I think I probably just skipped the next chapter. So I don't even know what I would think. Like, if I didn't know, what would I think at this point? I probably would have been caught off guard by the aces reveal. Probably. But if I was in Tamber's exact position, I still don't know if I would have seen it coming, honestly. I really don't. Yeah, by this point I knew, and I was just kind of watching this and being like, Anonymous is right, but I don't want to ruin Tamber's argument here, probably. I don't want to spoil him. Because, you know, he reads these for the first time as he typesets them, too. I think he still does. Like, that's what he tells me. that what he told me last time I talked to him was he like still like his typesetting it is his first time reading it. So yeah, he didn't know either. Man, everybody's calling Kazuya dumb. We're calling Kaiji dumb. I think they're both like above average intelligence. I'm just trying to figure out like why he's saying he's dumb here. I've read it like 3 times. Kaiji is dumb because what did he do in the chapter? So he had 2-4 at the start. What did he get? He got another 2. And he played 4, right? Okay, so this anonymous number 5 is saying, he's saying that, so Kaiji had 2-4, and then Kazuya had ace 3. From Kaiji's perspective, he saw up-down. So it was up-down versus down-down. And at that moment, the meta play, like by the end, when it's like up-down versus down-down, it's kind of 50-50. It's like, do I get rid of my down card or do I play the up card? So he's saying that it was dumb for Kaiji to not play his 2 because it's the optimal play to try and bait out Kazuya's ace there. That's what he's saying. I don't see how that's dumb. I've thought through his whole logic. I don't see why that's dumb. I don't think it's dumb. Like, if I was there and I saw my opponent with up-down and I had 2-4, I would think, okay, he just played an ace, so probably he doesn't have another ace at this point, is what I would think. Or maybe he's saying that Kaiji is dumb because he didn't already think, oh, he must have had pocket aces at the start because he played an ace. But I don't think that's what he's saying. I mean, it's understandable that, but in hand 2, he's still like, oh, I won, you know? He's not really thinking too hard, you know, especially because he has down, and it's like, I don't really have an option here, you know, and it's so, no, I don't think he's dumb for anything. I think I probably would have played 4 as well. I would have also played 4. I would have played 4 last hand. Or maybe not. No, if I was thinking all the way through it, I was like, there's a chance he might play an ace, so I'll play my 2, why not? Maybe. I don't know what I would have done. And I don't think Kaiji really knew what he was going to do until the moment he, like, put his card on the table. Like, it was kind of like, do I play the 2 now? I mean, like, what are the odds it's going to be another ace? Now I'll play 4. That's probably all it was. So, yeah, I don't see any reason why Kaiji is dumb here, and I don't see any reason why Kazuya is dumb for that matter. Because, yeah, from Kazuya's perspective, he could not know what Kaiji would do there. Like, he doesn't know, if... Or no, Kazuya is the dumb one, because there's... Or is he? No, because... No, from Kazuya's perspective, he should have thought, like, like, Kaiji just won with a 2. What are the odds that he has another 2? Like, nothing. He's got 0 odds. But he doesn't want to look like an idiot either. So, no, I get it. His pride probably got on the way, and he was like, no, I'm going to play my non-ace, and let me see a 2. Show me that 2. I bet you drew a 2 just now, Kaiji, didn't you? You know. And he did. He just didn't play it. So he was right, but... you know, it's kind of like he was playing the safe option purely because he didn't want to look like a dumbass. But he wound up doing the dumb thing, probably. I'm guessing that playing the ace there would be a little bit better. In the same way that, like, in E-card, like, when you're the Emperor and the opponent is the slave, like, it's better to play the Emperor turn 1. Just turn 1 auto Emperor, because the slave is going to be like, well, I don't want to look like an idiot. I don't want to look like an idiot by putting the slave out first and it being a citizen. And then I'm like, well, of course he didn't. Like, it's obviously the better move to save the emperor for the end and just hope that your opponent self-destructs with their slave, right? It's the same kind of situation here, where it's like I can keep playing my non-ace. My non-ace are the citizen cards, and my ace is the emperor card. And I'm kind of waiting to see if he plays his slave. It's kind of the exact same situation, only there is no limit to how many citizens you can play. And there's a chance you could get another emperor, you know, in the ace, right? It's all just mind games. Neither player is dumb. I've worked through all of it. I had to make sure that I'm not just being silly here. No, there's no reason to call Kaiji dumb here at all. At all. I'm sorry, anonymous number, what is it? 1, 2, 3. Okay, anonymous 4, actually. I'm sorry, but I don't see how Kaiji's an idiot at all. Anonymous number 5 gets it. Yeah, that's true. If you really think about it, yes. Yes. If Kazuya had, like, King 3, and Kaiji had down, 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 he would be like, oh, great, okay, free win, you know? The only way that he would look upset is if the up card was an ace. That is true. That's correct. Maybe. Kaiji's a changed person, though. I don't know, I can kind of relate, because, like, you know, when you're, like, starting to play Mahjong, for example, like, you know, your first Yakuman Tenpai, and you're like, whoa, oh man, you know, I'm gonna win this, or, like, I'm really nervous, I gotta keep it together, or something like that. By several Yakumans in, you've probably lost Yakumans before, so you're like, okay, I gotta keep it together, no, I might not win this, I gotta make sure I win this. It's being, like, careful, it's being, like, you know, like, I know the 2 is a good card, but, like, I gotta make sure I use it right. I can't just throw it out and just hope for the best, you know? It's not a guaranteed thing, you know? I feel like that's his mindset. I can put myself in all the characters' minds. I don't know, give me a situation, and I might be able to do it with Chang. I don't know. It's just, well, maybe I'm getting into the heads of the characters that I wrote. I don't know. That would be trippy. Like, if I don't really understand the Japanese versions of the characters. That's possible. Maybe I'm going into the heads of the versions of the character that I created for the translation. I don't know. That's why I like translating. It's kind of like it's like writing, except someone did that for you. So you just kind of have to get into where their characters' heads were, essentially. It's almost like acting, a little bit, which I like too. I don't know. I was just thinking today, like, if I wasn't, there was a point where I was going to go to a, like, acting high school, because I did like acting as a kid, and then, like, in high school it just kind of stopped. Because I didn't wind up going to that high school. And the reason was because one of my parental figures was, like, concerned that there would be so many gay people there. And so they didn't want me going there. And so I went to a different one that taught Japanese. So it's kind of like, that was like a big branch in my life, where I could have been an actor, or I could have gone to the school that taught Japanese, and this is the timeline we're living in. Okay, this is kind of like the first negative comment string that I've gotten. Like I mentioned last time, I get negative comments every now and again, but this is the kind of stuff I mean, and all these guys are anonymous, so they're not even like, you know, it's like that internet thing where, like, people are meaner on the internet because, like, there's no repercussions. Although I read the 4th one, and that's what made me say that. I think there was probably a message. There used to be a message here or something. I don't know. It seems like really out of context. Like he's referencing someone saying like they've just been slacking in the meantime or something, but that's not there. So, and it doesn't even say like edited or anything. And these are all anonymous comments, so I don't think they could have been edited. So I don't know. Did some moderator like me or Timber delete a comment? I don't know. Uh, but okay, so like at this time they were, I don't know, they're saying like they're only doing a Kagi because people paid for it, and it's like no, it's no. I have taken commissions like one time. It was from Wagons, and he really wanted Penchon, and I was like, I don't really do this for the money. But he freaking was insistent. He was like, no, I want Penchon, and I'm going to pay you for it. How much will it take? And I was like, $100. And he's like, done. And so we did some Penchon. And it's like, I think that's the only time I've taken commissions. Because someone literally was like, I want this done so bad, I'm going to pay you for it. I don't know. Other than that, it was just people, donating because they wanted to, and they were thankful, which was awesome. But there were people that like called us like slackers, or said that we were so slow, or that like, why does it take you so long? And my answer to that always was, we want to make sure we're doing a good job, which was true. Also, I didn't do it all the time. I could have done it more, but I also wanted to do other stuff. Not that I was accomplishing too much, but I did what I could essentially with the time I had. And the last Anonymous does not get it, but we all know at this point. Everyone watching this, me, everyone, we all know why Kazuya played his up card. Okay, hopefully we can get through these next chapters quicker. I feel like that one was just like very dense. Like a lot happened in it, but we'll see. This one doesn't look like too much happened. Tamber even says, not very much happens in this chapter. Yeah, when Kaiji gets this excited, the reader needs to be nervous. Yeah, Daten Roku means fallen angel. Fallen angel... let's see, it's right here. Daten Roku, yeah. So Daten is fallen angel, and then Roku is like chronicle, essentially. So it's like fallen angel chronicle. I don't know if it's really ever... It would be like a biblical reference. It would be like a reference to like whatever part of the Bible, like Satan falls from heaven. Which I could talk for a while about what that means. Like, why did he name it that? Like, why is Kaiji now a fallen angel? Whereas in the first one, it was gambling revelation. Mokushi Roku means revelation. And then, I don't know where apocalypse came from. Well, no, I do. Okay. No, that's not true. I know. Because the book of Revelation is about the apocalypse, right? So Mokushi Roku means gambling... Revelation Kaiji. Gambling Book of Revelations Kaiji. But to put that into like a general sense, they probably, for the anime, translated it to Apocalypse, instead of Revelation. Because they didn't want to... I get it, they didn't want to be too biblical with it. And then Hakai Roku means... so part 2 would be like Book of Destruction. And then part 3 through 6... are all Daten Roku, which is Book of the Fallen Angel. So it's kind of, yeah, it's like we're going from biblical to neutral, kind of like just vague, to now Book of Destruction. That kind of sounds like something almost evil, or Book of the Fallen Angel. It's kind of like we're going further and further down into hell as the series goes on. That's kind of how it is, because the first one is from the Bible, so that's kind of what it is. It's kind of like Kaiji sinking further and further into hell. Also, Kaiji and Kazuya's poker faces are terrible. Not wrong. Yeah, we got people still just being like, well, it's poker, so let me think of it poker-wise. I don't know who the fish and the whale would be. I guess at this point the whale would be Kazuya, and then Kaiji would be the fish. But it's more like, by the end, it's kind of like Kaiji's the whale, the frickin' the shark. Oh, but I guess what he's saying is... No, not even that. Like, the shark would be the really good player. He's saying between, like, a level 5 magician and a level 4 magician. It's like, well, the max is 99. I think that's what he's saying. I don't know, everyone is like, oh, these guys are so dumb, and it's like, by the end of it, I don't think anyone's saying that. I really don't. But now, it's kind of like, I guess because we just came off of Kazuya Hen, and there's a lot of dumb moves that are made there. Like, Kaiji spends the whole game screaming. That's all he does. And then Kazuya freaking, he just watches, but occasionally he has something to do, and then... yeah, Mario makes some dumb moves. But it is the idiots and helmets arc, so you make that exception there. You make exceptions where they are. Like, Mizuyama's the biggest idiot. Fucking, what? You freaking decide to kill your friends for a little bit of change? Like, alright, bro. Like, that is not how you get anywhere in life, unless you want to be a complete, like... sociopathic loner who just moves from place to place and just, like, you know, screws over someone in the new place and then moves on. It's like, alright, that's the life you want to live. Like, go fuck yourself, but alright. Mitsuyama was the stupidest. Hello, Poker Fanatics. Just letting you know, I will never reference the song Poker Face. I was so worried. Oh, phew, thank God. Thank God, I was worried that there was going to be a poker face or two in there. Do you know that, by the way, do you know that in that Lady Gaga song, she actually says poker face, fuck her face. She says that in the radio, and if you listen to her live singing it, you can actually hear her pronounce the fuh. I am too far removed from the world of Hollywood and frickin' music making to say anything. No idea. Probably they're a bunch of degenerates up there and they thought that was funny. Oh well. Okay, so we figure out that Kazuya does have an ace. And Tamber just 2 posts ago was arguing with someone like, it can't possibly be an ace. You know, so it's kind of like, okay. How am I going to put that in the post? Yeah, and neither one of them had thought about, like, why he went from happy to sad. It's because he went from, like, ooh, an ace. Good. Now, what's this card? Another ace? Oh, no. Oh, no, this is the worst. What am I going to say when I beat him twice in a row and he only has 2 lives? Oh, my God. You know, like, that's what was going through his mind at that point. You know, it wasn't, like, anything to do with, like, what if he has a 2? No. Nothing. Nowhere in his mind was that happening. You know, he was absolutely gobsmacked when Kaiji flipped over the 2. Now, all he was thinking at that point was just like, oh, he's going to think I'm cheating for sure now. Like, this is too good. So, in Tamber's mind, like, given this situation, he thinks Kazuya has to play the ace here. Because he doesn't want to keep it going. Like, if you go back, it's like he has the Emperor, and he just played his Citizen, and Kaiji played his Citizen, and it's like, oh shit, alright, well, I better get rid of my frickin' Emperor now, because if I see one more Citizen, then I'm on the back foot, and then it's like, you know, okay, when am I gonna play this Emperor, though? You know, and it's like, he doesn't want to go into that, and like, in E-Card, if you did that, it would be, a situation where it was like, okay, I've got an Emperor and 2 Citizens. I have to play my Emperor now, because if I don't, like, it's just going to be 50-50 at that point, you know. So maybe since he knows the E-Card, that also was part of it. Probably not, but still, like, you know, it is still just kind of a feeling of, like, I don't want to keep, you know, being afraid to play this ace. Like, what are the odds he has a 2 anyway? Right. Yeah, so probably he didn't play it last time, but he should play it here. Is probably the logic that was going through this chapter. So, yeah, I see why, like, psychologically, it's like 75 to 80%, that Kazuya is going to play the ace here. Psychologically. Like, physically, it's 50-50, but no. Psychologically, it's more likely than not that he'll play the ace here. And so, Timbre is like, would you bet the minimum, or would you go all in? And he would have 4 lives here, so no, not all in, but maybe bet another life or something. I mean, I feel like ace versus 2 is so, like, up in the air. But although Kaiji knows that Kazuya has an ace, so it's... I don't know. So Kazuya knows that Kaiji knows that he's holding an ace. I don't think so. Well, I know not. Well, I don't know. If you were savvy enough about one poker, you might just, like, see the ace played from up versus down and be like, oh, the only explanation is 2 aces. But Kaiji was brand new to this game when he stepped in, so I feel like Kazuya probably wouldn't know. But I'm only saying that because I know he didn't, so not much of a leg to stand on there. Kazuya the Yakuza. It fits. Looks like nothing really happened this chapter, but I don't know. At the same time, it showed somebody out there that Kaiji's logic would be good this arc. Which is a far cry from a couple of chapters ago, I think it was, where people were calling both players dumb. It's like, alright. Now we're like, Kaiji's so smart. He's so smart. He's gonna cream Kazuya. And now we're gonna get to the part where Kazuya creams Kaiji. And it's like, oh shit. Wait, this is actually gonna be good? I think that's where it's going. Master Killel actually brings up a, something I kind of... that gets forgotten a lot, but yeah. Kazuya showed Kaiji that graveyard. Basically saying, like, I'm gonna beat you and you're gonna die. That's what's happening tonight. I heard that you were playing the president. I had this set up ahead of time. That's how confident I was that you were gonna beat Muroka and then lose to me. I'm gonna kill you, and I'm gonna put you right there. It's demented, it's sadistic, but you gotta respect the confidence that it took to do something like that. It wasn't a suicide note. It was basically a contract. It was basically saying, like, if you die, then we're allowed to say that you signed this contract where it's like, I was taking on a dangerous job, essentially, and I died doing it, and, the company is not liable. The company being Tei. The company in this case being Tei Incorporated. They put Kaiji through a dangerous job, cost him his life, but he shirks all his responsibility. That's what it was, essentially. A very legal document. Like, Kazuya knows that stuff. He knows about the law. He knows about, like... He knows what he's doing is illegal, but, he knows that it's hard for the police to actually, like, want to track someone as influential as him, given who his father is, probably. He's educated, he, like, knows about the world. It's just, he's never had human connection, like, true human connection. Like, that's his big thing that has defined a lot of his life and his decisions, is he's never really had a true friend, or even someone that would be like, you're not necessarily the greatest person that ever lived, Kazuya. It's always like, no, you're the best, you're the king, we all bow down to you. It's just like every single person in his life, except for maybe his dad, who's just, he's messed up, so that's all that Kazuya knew, was like, oh, being messed up is how you're a human being. Yeah, okay. And then you use money to get girls, and then, that's life. Fucking, it sucks, doesn't it? Damn. Damn, it sure sucks being, a human in society, knowing that everyone else is all in it for themselves, being a horrible, deplorable person, Like, that's his mindset, and we'll probably reiterate and go through it from different angles, like, throughout these reactions. There's a new angle. Okay, so this is something I guess I have to answer. Nothing really happened this chapter, but people are kind of, like, just, talking about the situation in general here. And so one person is asking why do people assume that Kaji's previous opponents all played this gamble? And the answer is they didn't. Not all of them. Like, there's the one in the story, like, that lady never got a chance to play one poker, right? The one who stabbed swords into her, I don't even remember, her boyfriend. And that was Kazuya, and they never played one poker, right? So probably most of his opponents didn't, but some did, would be what I would think. Kaiji Kazuya-hen, Chapter 2, page 7. Kazuya-hen, though. Okay, let me look that up, actually. Okay, so here's the two panels. We gotta be thorough about this. Here's the two panels side by side. So one thing I'll tell you is that this wasn't me. This was JS06, and then I reworded it. I can kind of tell by the wording here. I'm like, wow, that doesn't really sound like me. And I'm like, wait, it wasn't. It was JS06, and then I think I might have. There were a couple chapters where I didn't do anything. I just left them up as his. But that aside, I guess I can check. Actually, I was about to say I don't know who it actually is, but let me actually check. Yes, it says I proofread it. But yeah, it was JS06. And it was kind of in that point where it was like, well, he's a good translator. I don't want to be too picky, about his wording, and he offered to help, so I have to let him join, Anyway, that's beside the point. Let's look at it. So, the original Japanese says, Furiagatta gamburu no kekka, kokoro narazu mo shinde shimatta ningen wo. So, the thing about Japanese is it doesn't have plurals, right? So, except for, like, if you really try and you really want someone to know that you're using, like, a plural, you can add tachi, which pluralizes anything, pretty much. Like, hitotachi is people, whereas hito is person, right? But here, there's none of that. So, you could also say, like, hito could mean one person. It could mean multiple people. In that case, it's probably more important, so they usually say, like, hitotachi or something like that. But if you were saying, like, a page, for example, like a page out of a book, how many pages? And you say, peiji wa ikura de. No, that would be how much is a page. No, peiji ga ikutsu aru ka. That would be how many pages are there. But it's not pages. It's page, right? And it's not clear. Well, it would be clear there because you would be asking how many are there. And like, it could be one or multiple, either one. So, but you're asking how many pages are there, and it's like there could be more than one. But if you say sono peiji, that's it. And like, you just say sono peiji, you could be talking about that page over there, or you could be talking about those pages over there. And you would have to look, you'd have to look over and be like, okay, there's like 5 pages there. He's talking about those 5 pages. He's not talking about the page across the room. No, he's you have to tell by context. And this is a situation like that. So it's, so I guess what's not clear about the original, what the person in the post was asking is, does this line prove that there have been other gambles in the past? And, obviously by this point you should know yes, if you've read the series. But the question is, did everyone that Kazuya ever faced die to one poker? That's the question. Mario and Chang were supposed to die as something else, but that's beside the point. No, just based on this one line alone, can we determine, were there other gambles happening besides one poker? Essentially, the distinction would be, if it were only one poker, like one poker was the only game that Kazuya ever played, then it should say, if the gamble, or if our gamble, if my gamble, like something like that, to kind of imply, like, this is the gamble This is the gamble that I have that I make everyone play. You know, in the Japanese, the phrasing feels the phrasing feels like a gamble. It does. Moriagata means like fired up. Gyamburu no kekka. So that would be the result of a gamble. So I'll just translate it real quick. As a result of gamble that got too fired up, a human wound up dead. If a human needs to be accounted for, is what he's going to go on to say. But so all that we care about is the first bubble, though. So it's just Moriagata Gyamburu no Kekka. Can I say definitively that it should not be the gamble or our gamble or my gamble? Moriagata Gyamburu no Kekka. It's a feel thing. I tell you, it's like, you know, like I look at the words and I'm like, I can't really tell. But then when I read the whole sentence, it's like, no, he's talking about a gamble. It's really like just the phrasing of it. If it was supposed to be like our gamble or my gamble, it would... He would add a clarifier, I feel like. He would say like, instead of it being like Moriagata, because Moriagata is like a very vague, like, anything can fire you up. Like, pachinko can fire you up, like an exciting movie can fire you up, you know, your girlfriend can fire you up, like anything can fire you up. He would be more specific if it was like a gamble that like everyone played. Slightly more specific. He doesn't want to like make this too wordy, probably. As a result of the gamble, yeah. You can't even say it like that. It would be like, as a result of the gamble that got so fired up. Like that sounds unnatural, right? It's kind of the same thing. Like, you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say, as a result of the gamble that got fired up. It'd be like, oh, this guy has English as a second language, right? For a native Japanese speaker, you would say this when you meant a gamble. I can say definitively. I can't explain why. It's just... Moriagata Gyamburu, it says it's a vague description. It's a description of a multitude of gambles, it feels like. Essentially, the word choice Moriagata, like, describes any number of gambles. Like, it's not a specific, like, you know, in our calling and raising, gotta know when to fold 'em gamble tonight. You know, he would say something more in the line of that, if that's what he was talking about here. If he was talking specifically about one poker is the gamble that I make everyone play, he would say something like Hattari Gyamburu, bluffing gamble. Or something even more specific. Omae to ore. Ore to omae. Like, you're in my gamble, he might say. He wouldn't say Moriagata, because that's so broad. So, all this to say, I don't think anyone but this guy in the comments was wondering, but yeah, he's made people play other gambles. I feel like I can say definitively, man. Like, I've looked at it for a solid, like, 10 minutes now. Yeah, no, I can't see any way that it wouldn't be. Like, this is not the first time he's said this either, probably. Like, this gamble tonight might get really fired up, so you better sign this. You know, he might have said that to other people in the past with different gambles in mind. And it had to fit all of them. You know, I'm going to call it there. Probably for today, at least. I might combine this into a video, depending on how much... there is, but if not, I feel like I'm burnt out. I've been recording for an hour and a half, and I've been talking, and I'm not sure if I've been talking about interesting stuff or not. But I feel pretty burnt out, so I'm gonna like at least take a break, and if I come back in this video, you'll see me. But if not, thank you for watching. I'll see you next episode.